Get ready for the show, it's about to begin. Pro fan talk when we dive right in. Sports talk, hot takes, ain't nothing we lack. We the real fans, nothing holding us back. Mic check, 1, 2, y'all know the drill. We bringing the energy, we keep it real. Touchdowns on liquid air, on the slam dunks on the court. Every sport, every game, we holding down the fort. We breaking down the plays, dissecting the stats. Pro fan talk, we keeping it fat. Debating with passion, no filter, no doubt. We the voice of the fans, we scream and we shout.
What's going on, good people? Welcome to Live at Lunch. You are on Pro Fan Talk, and we kicking it live. You know the rules. We are on a lunch break. I will be with you for about good 45 minutes. You will have plenty of time to finish your sandwich, wash your hands, and get back to work. But before you do that, we're going to talk a little tush push. We're going to talk a little brotherly shove and why they're trying to screw us Philadelphia Eagles. You know my situation. You know my thoughts on the issue. I'm biased. I'm a former Eagle. I want to see the play. Could nobody stop it? Could nobody else even do it correctly? Maybe the Buffalo Bills, but we were the only ones doing it right. We were the only ones doing it right. And, might I add, the only team that figured out how to stop it was my Cincinnati Bengals. That's the only team that figured out how to successfully stop it. My Cincinnati Bengals. Go back and watch the tape. But nobody could figure out how to look at what they did and duplicate what they did. So, you know, it is what it is. Now, Roger Goodell and then NFL owners, everybody's kind of going in circles, and they doing anytime you got executives doing coach speak, that you know it's some bullshit. Anytime you got executives, team owners doing coach speak, they talking in circles. They talking a lot, but they not saying nothing. And on top of that, they throwing out empty calories, empty facts. They quoting facts and things that have not actually happened. Are we worried about the potential for, player safety? There's a whole bunch of other plays that happen on the regular on an NFL field in games every Sunday, and you don't worry about it. So take the player injury, take that nonsense off the table. It's not even funny. Chris, I'm with you, man. I think it's going to end up getting banned. If not this year, probably next year. But because they tabled it and they didn't have to, what they're trying to do is, what that tells me is Roger Goodell is going to try to politic it and try to reword it to put it in a format where everybody has to agree with it. That's like saying, yeah, we'll let you drive a car, but you can't use gas. You got to figure out another way to get it. Maybe you got to push it up the hill and coast down the other side. But you can still drive it. It doesn't make sense. Like the stuff they're trying to do doesn't make sense. And what makes it worse is because they are specifically pointing at us. To me, that's what makes it look so bad. Because they are specifically going after the Philadelphia Eagles. We already know that many teams in the league don't like us anyways, for whatever reason. That's a whole nother conversation. Other teams, they want to look down on Philly, talk bad about Philly, talk bad about how bad Philly fans are. When you go into any other stadium in the country, did you see what happened at Milwaukee's opening day where the dude was pissing in the common area? People were walking by buying beers and hot dogs and stuff like this, and this dude is pissing in the middle of the floor in the open on camera. It's like, don't give me that nonsense about Philly fans. when you go to San Francisco and they fighting in the stands and they dragging women down the seats, and the Cowboys fans fighting other Cowboys fans in Cowboy Stadium. Don't give me that shit about Philly fans. I ain't trying to hear it. I ain't trying to hear it. All of that stuff got uber popular when Fred Warner's wife said what she said because she was scared to come to Philly. Man, get out of here. You got more people swinging haymakers in San Francisco than you do in Philly. Let's keep it a buck. But Roger Goodell, he doesn't like the play, so you know they're gonna try to get rid of it. And tabling it is just another way. All right, what we got to do is we got to figure out a way to reword it because what Green Bay did was terrible. That's some punk ass shit. But what Green Bay did was the way they worded it was horrible because now it's like, oh, we don't like it. But it's like a little kid throwing a tantrum because they can't get no candy. That's what it sounds like to me. Somebody need to draw a graphic of a little kid jumping up and down, throwing a temper tantrum because they can't have no candy and put a Green Bay Packers logo on their shirt. That's what the Green Bay Packers sound like. And Roger Goodell, you know, one of the guys here in Philly on the radio made a good point. You need 2/3 of the vote to get something changed. They don't have that. They're not even close to that. So his quote was, so if half of them do and half of them don't, are you only serving the ones that want it changed? What about the people that don't? So you're not serving them no more. So the only thing because what you want to do serves this group. So you're going to figure out a way to make it happen. So now you telling me, so it's premeditated. So forget what the collective wants. It ends up coming down to what Roger Goodell wants. So anytime he wants to go at or do something or circumvent the rules, it can be done. It can be done. SC, I'm with you 100%, bro. I'm with you 100%. But that makes too much sense. That makes too much sense. If you look at my wallpaper here on my big screen, right? This is when they started using it in Indianapolis. They started using it in Indianapolis. Phillip Rivers wasn't even the one that used it. They brought in Jacoby Brissett. Why did they bring in Jacoby Brissett? Because Jacoby Brissett was 240. And he could move the pile a little bit. That's exactly how it started. Then when Sirianni got to Philly, they did the same type of play with Jalen Hurts, except if you remember, Dallas Goedert used to go in motion. And they used to snap the ball when Goddard was right in the guard center gap, depending on which side Jalen was going to go, then he would shoot the gap and basically just wrap Jalen around and push him forward. That's how it started. That's what we know as the Tush Push started. Then they kind of fine-tuned it, focused it a little bit, and now you got what you got. And couldn't nobody figure out how to stop it. So it is what it is. But it sucks because it sounds like, and you know what? It doesn't sound like anymore. It's not even about what it sounds like. They are doing this because it's Philly. And I firmly believe if it was San Francisco, if it was Miami, if it was the Giants, if it was the Chiefs, if it was the Cowboys, they wouldn't do it. They would not care. If the Chiefs ran this play and ended up three-peating, nobody would give a damn. But it's because it's us. Because it's us. And so now you can't tell me there's not a bias against the Eagles. You can't tell me that because Roger Goodell is going out of his way. I heard what Mike Missinelli said. He doesn't like the play. I do. And he's talking about it makes the Philly fans look small. Like, man, get the hell out of here with that nonsense, bro. You got a collective organization actively going against one team because they do one thing well. That's a conspiracy. That's like, I don't know I don't know what to call it. When they are actively coming at you. So it is what it is. It's probably going to get banned. There are other ways to run that play, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And for as much as people hated Sirianni, and that's the other thing, if people didn't hate Sirianni as much as they do, if they didn't despise him the way that they do, I don't think this would be an issue. I really don't. If Sirianni hadn't gotten on the mic and said, if everybody could do it, they would do it. If he wasn't so braggadocious with it, I don't think he would have I don't think this would have as much ammunition as they are trying to get. It doesn't even have a lot of ammunition, but they are trying to drum up shit to get the play going, and that's exactly what they're going to do. There's no reason why they couldn't have taken the vote. How long does the vote take? They voted on all these other issues. Why they need to table it? Because they're trying to figure out a way how to reword it, how to reposition it, and how to resubmit it so it will be gone. That's what they're trying to do. We got another 8 weeks to where we'll try this again. So, it is what it is. Tiff, I'm with you 100%. It reeks of jealousy. Absolutely. It reeks of jealousy. So, it's going to be what it's going to be. So I'm like, let's sign that big dude from Florida and put him at fullback, and do the brotherly shove 2.0 and send him through the guard tackle gap. And Jalen Hurts, how about Jalen Hurts lines up in pistol, and we send two guys through the gap and just follow them, because that's what it's going. I guarantee you, Nick Sirianni's got another way to run this. Guarantee you. Matter of fact, if they go back to the original way they ran it with Jacoby Brissett, what's the difference? Because if you watch that play, he didn't get pushed. Let me see if I can play it. I'm gonna play it in the background. I'm gonna try to slow it down so they don't copyright it. Hold on. Playback speed. We're gonna go half, and let's see if I can do this. So there he go. And then he gonna just shoot the gap. Now, this is really not a good example. Yes, this is the first time it happened, but the reason why this is not a good example is because you got the guard center gap in this particular play is wide open. There's nobody there's nobody to the left or to the offense's right of the nose guard. Look at it. Look at Jacoby. Look at this gap right here. Hope you can see my cursor. Look at this gap right here. So now you don't see that nowadays when we run that play. You got everybody in the gap. You got man on man, head up on the line of scrimmage, and all of those linemen are getting super, super low to the ground because they're trying to take out each other's feet. So you can't even look at this play, but I'm showing this because this is where it started. This is where it started. And he just shoots the gap. The gap is right here. You leaving this open right here. Look at all of this. All of this right here. That gap right there. And there he goes. You can get a yard or 2 yards off of that. So even the way they run it now and the way the defenses go up against it is different. Now you fast forward, Eagles versus Panthers, right? So now, but look again, look at the defense. Here's your nose guard right here. And you got a gap to his right and to his left. You got the nose guard right here, and this defensive tackle looks like he could be head up to outside shade on that guard. So let's even say he's head up. So, but this guy isn't. This guy's on the tackle. So really the gap would be right here. And what does Jalen Hurts do? Let's see which way he goes. He goes to his left and he leans forward. And then who was that came behind him and pushed him? 80. So there's different ways to run it that can be successful without pushing. So I think Jalen Stoll didn't really do anything. Jalen was already extended. So, and then of course, let's not forget why Jalen can do the things that he does. This right here. Let's not forget that fact. 600 something pounds on the squat rack. It's coming down your throat. Now, mind you, this was when he was in college. So, everybody get mad at it. Now, here's when Sirianni focused it and changed it. Here's when they changed it. Tiffany, I think Saquon is damn near close to. I think Saquon is like 685. Saquon is better than both of them. But look at let me see. Watch Dallas Goedert involved into, just lining up, not putting people in motion and all of that type of stuff. So it is what it is. They're gonna try to get rid of it. What's up, Chris 3K? So, but like I said, it sucks. It sucks, and I'll complain about it. But at the end of the day, it's already a done deal. The wheels are already in motion for them to get rid of it. So, hey, Tiffany, that is a phenomenal point. That is a phenomenal point. You got Lane Johnson, and now you got AJ Dillon, somebody that got quads bigger than Saquon. You talking about two guys that's squatting like that now. So if you have a dual backfield, put them at fullback. Put them at fullback. So there's a couple different ways we can do this now. And you don't necessarily need. Now watch. Here's what they're going to do. This is my prediction. What they're going to do is they're going to put language in it about pushing the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage. That's what it's going to be. And that's what everybody's going to vote on. So it's going to be about pushing the quarterback or the ball carrier when they're still behind the line of scrimmage. They're going to make that part illegal. Watch. So you can still do the sneak, but you just can't push them forward if the quarterback is still behind the line of scrimmage. And what that does is that frees up. So what happens if the quarterback gets past the line of scrimmage or a running back, gets 3 yards, but it was 3rd and 4. He's 3 yards plus. And now you get the scrum where the defense is trying to push him back and the offense is trying to push him forward. Now, since he's past the line of scrimmage, when they line up and everybody's pushing one way or the other, that will still be legal. That's why they got rid of the rule in 2004. Back in 2004, when you get into them scrums like that and the defense would be driving a running back or a ball carrier the opposite way, and then all of a sudden you get a big offensive lineman that comes and pushes pushes forward, that's when that started. That shouldn't be illegal. That's still part of the play. The runner is not down, because here's the other part of it. What happens if you in a scrum like that and then somebody rips the ball away and it's a fumble? So did they stop the momentum before he got the fumble? So it introduces a whole bunch of little intricacies and levels to it that doesn't look good. If the running back is up and still moving his feet and still trying to go forward, but the defense stops his momentum, the play should be dead right there. But what happens if they stop his momentum, then somebody rips the ball out right after that happens? Now you in this whole gray area thing, and they don't want that to happen, because I guarantee you that's going to happen. So you're right. Sweet Chin Music, you're 100% right. It'll just go back to a QB sneak, and Philadelphia will find a better way to run the QB sneak. And they'll probably bitch about that too. But you're right. They're going to go back to the old faithful what worked. Because let's be real, if Tom Brady can run a QB sneak, anybody can run a damn QB sneak. Tom Brady is not trying to initiate or have contact whatsoever. So it's just another way to do it. What you gonna do? It is what it is. It is what it is. So they're gonna go back to what did what did Dark Side say in the movie? We're gonna go back to the old ways, and that's what they're gonna do. And it will not be as successful. If we were like 87% successful, it'll drop down to like 81, maybe 80%, maybe high 70s. We'll still be successful more than anybody else because we still got a quarterback that can squat 6. But everybody, everybody got their feelings about it. Um, yeah, it does, but everybody bitching about it because it ain't them. That's the bottom line. And the coup de grace was us winning the Super Bowl and just utterly destroying the Chiefs. Do y'all know that they were doing a documentary on the Chiefs three-peat? Netflix had started a documentary about the Chiefs three-peat. And they had to change the ending of it because they got their ass kicked. But I'm saying that because the overall thought process was already there that it was just going to win. How many kids in some third world country somewhere are going to be wearing T-shirts that say the Chiefs three-peat because they already had that shit printed up? I guarantee. They already had stuff printed up because they was going to drop them T-shirts immediately after the game. They was going to give them to the team. You know how that works. They got to print for both sides just in case who wins. They got to be ready. So what happens to all of the losers? They don't just burn all of them T-shirts. They give them away somewhere. There's some poor kids in some third world country that's wearing the wrong T-shirts. They printed all of that stuff. They were ready for it. They had to be, especially if you're producing a Netflix show about a three-peat and then it doesn't happen. The mindset was already there. They broke the cardinal rule in sports. I don't care what level you're on. The cardinal rule is you deal with the team at hand. Nothing is guaranteed. Victory is not guaranteed. You have to play the game. They broke the cardinal rule. They thought they were just going to win just because they are them. Like, nah. Wasn't y'all watching film all year? Didn't you see how Caliendo was getting his ass reamed all year at left guard? Then they had to move Tooney to left tackle. He's a better right guard than he was a left tackle. And it showed. But everybody just ignored that. Everybody just ignored that. Eagles left Fletcher Cox and Hassan Reddick. Their defensive line ain't gonna be no good. Did you not watch film on Jalen Carter? Had you not been watching film on Nolan Smith? Had you not been watching film on Josh Sweat and Milt Williams? What were y'all doing? The way this defense played all year, what made you think in any capacity that y'all were just going to blow our defense off the ball? I don't understand that. And that's when I say things like, Kansas City is not like this, but Dallas is when they start drinking their own Kool-Aid. And just this year, Kansas City was drinking their own Kool-Aid. They had many flaws on their team this year, and they just thought they was just going to ignore it. They're just going to put some makeup. The Patrick Mahomes makeup tries to cover everything, and you couldn't do that. Defense wins championships. And the Eagles defense got in that ass at the Super Bowl. Point, period, in the paragraph. I would prefer, instead of saying lies on White Bandit, just say you can't stop it and want to keep running back records means something. Jalen is at 65 rushing touchdowns and Emmett is like 160-ish. And Jalen has 10 more years. Yeah, it does. Yeah. It is what it is. That's just the way the game has evolved. And they can stop it. They can stop it. That, to me, that ain't no different than like what they say when Almost like what happened when Cam was playing. When Cam was starting for Carolina, he went to the Super Bowl, and instead of talking about all of his touchdowns, they only talk about, and they do the same thing with Jalen Hurts. They only talk about your passing touchdowns, like your rushing touchdowns don't count. They do the same thing with Lamar. See the pattern here? Do we need to get into the to the isms? So everybody gonna have a problem with him because it ain't them. Because it ain't them. You look at the last 2 seasons for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson was clearly the MVP this year, this past season, and the last 2 past seasons. He should have been a three-peat MVP of the league, without question. I know they gave it to Josh Allen. Lamar was better. But when push came to shove, and Lamar was throwing that ball all over everywhere, when he had opportunities to run, you see where that got him. You see where it got the MVP. You see where it got Josh Allen. They throw the ball everywhere, and then when it came time to run, Josh Allen was scrappy and found a way to win. Patrick Mahomes scrappy and found a way to win. He willed his team to win. Jalen Hurts, he got to learn how to pass better. He got to learn how to throw the ball better. So, I mean, it's very biased against Philadelphia, and that ain't nothing that we didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Nothing that we didn't know. It is what it is. Yeah, we had the better team, top to bottom, for sure. We had the better team, and all of the people that said that Jalen Hurts couldn't throw. I don't know if you guys saw my interview with Dave Spadaro. He was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Check it out. We had a really good conversation, but we talked about like what it felt like in 2017 as opposed to this past season, winning the Super Bowl. 2017, we were just elated because we took Tom Brady's best shot. We took his best shot and we came out ahead. We beat him with a backup. So we were just elated. This year, for me, it was half elation and half just pure rage. Because I was so sick and tired of hearing about what Jalen Hurts couldn't do. All the people that said there's no way he's a franchise, he's not going to win the Super Bowl, he'll never get back. All of that type of rhetoric. All of it. And that was just, you get that feeling where you just want to shove it in everybody's face. And you're like, what you got to say now? And even then, still people will still find a way to try to discredit it. But you know what? He's been to a Super Bowl twice, got a win, and an MVP. What you going to say now? And he outplayed the best in the business. The Philadelphia Eagles, every time we've been in the Super Bowl, our last 3 Super Bowls, we've outplayed the best quarterback in the NFL all 3 times. In 22, we just didn't come out with a crazy penalty. It just didn't end in our favor. But Jalen Hurts outplayed Mahomes in that game. He outplayed Mahomes in this game. And then you know what Nick Foles did. So yeah, they thought it was a guarantee. What didn't they do a story about the guy that bet all of that money on the Chiefs to win? He had to bet some. It wasn't even a good bet because the odds were in the Chiefs' favor. So he would have had to bet. It was one of those situations. This is not the right numbers, but he would have had to bet like $1 million to win $1.5 million. So you would have had to bet $1 million to win $500,000, like something like that. The odds weren't in your favor, but he placed some ridiculous bet and he lost all of that money. Good for him. Next time you watch tape, dummy. Yeah, they don't consider a rushing touchdown a quarterback stat. That's on them. But they count that dub, though. They count that dub. So, they can do what they want to do, but you can't discredit that W. I don't care if you threw for 150 yards or 350 yards or 450 yards. I'll always go back to my stats now because I said it first. 45,000 plus passing yards was at home on the couch in Cancun watching the playoffs. 5,000 yards. All those top tier passers, all those number one draft picks, all those golden arms sitting at home watching the playoffs. What does that tell you? Why do people try to discredit Jalen by saying the defense was the better unit when every Super Bowl winner has good defense? I don't know. I don't know. Every Super Bowl winner doesn't have great defense. Look at when we won with in 17. We outscored them. We outscored the Patriots. But the defense made the play when they had to make the play. This game was the defense, just a defensive juggernaut. In 22, they just outscored us. They got the ball last and they got that BS penalty that put them in the red zone, and they did what they did. I can't discredit them for that. You got the ball in your hands last, and your quarterback, who was known for doing that, did it. So it bees like that sometimes. So it's not necessarily that defense is on every team, but your defense has to show up at least one play, one series. They have to do something. And that's what happened. That last play when we won in 2017 with the strip sack, Brandon Graham with the strip sack, that was the game right there. Defense did something. Tom Brady had threw for 505 yards that game. He lit it up. We still found a way to win. There's AFC bias anyway, as I say. Name your top 10 NFC quarterbacks in 2000. You could give me 8. I say do that AFC. You could give me, I mean, maybe, but to me, it's all about the NFL goes in cycles, man. Goes in cycles. I remember back in the day when the AFC couldn't win shit. AFC couldn't win nothing in the playoffs. Then that started changing when Peyton Manning and them came in the league. Peyton Manning was with the Colts. Wait a minute, is Colts AFC, NFC? I even forget that now. Then you had the Seahawks. Trying to think, what was the last AFC team besides the Chiefs? Buffalo didn't do it. Buffalo went 4 times in a row, couldn't get it done. Vikings couldn't get it done. That's NFC. Like you can listen, man. You can name all the good quarterbacks you want, but look at the quarterbacks that actually win. Why do you think everybody hates Kansas City? Kansas City, how many times have they been before Patrick Mahomes? How many times did Kansas City go to the Super Bowl when they had Joe Montana? And Joe Montana was the best of the best. It's not often. So take your best quarterback, and you still need a complete team. So they can discredit because the defense carried them, because Saquon carried them. Don't forget, John Elway went back to back. John Elway didn't win a Super Bowl until Terrell Davis carried him to the Super Bowl, to the 2,000-yard season. Right? But John Elway would have been one of those great quarterbacks. He would have been a Dan Marino type that had all the skill in the world but couldn't make it. And John Elway was in his mid-30s when they won the Super Bowls. He wasn't young, but he finally got the team together. Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis running over everybody in that huge offensive line with Stink, and they had the squad. They had everything they needed to make it happen. I said this when Saquon was going for the record. He ain't going for your boy from the Rams. He was going for Terrell Davis, the first person to run for 2,000 yards and get a Super Bowl ring. That's what Saquon was going for, and that's what he got. Now he's 2 of 2. It's him and Terrell Davis. That's the rare air you want to be in. They want to come up with any other situation where they can discredit everything. So I'm like, let them have it. While we shining our rings, Let him talk about that. Let him do that. It's all good. It's all good. So, yeah, Chris. They have to be capable. They have to be, to me, capable just means at some point in time you can be playing the best quarterback in the world, but at some point in time you got to get off the field. Defense has to get off the field. You got to make a stop. You got to hold them. You got to hold them to a field goal. You got to get a turnover, something like that. That's fair. That's fair. So I am positive that Nick Sirianni and the offense will come up with an alternative if when they ban the brotherly shove. When they ban it, they are going to come out with an alternative. And you know what? It's going to piss everybody off. And I love it. And I'm all for it. Because now it's going to be like, okay, these are the rules that you set. And now we're going to bang you again. How you like me now? And then what is it going to be? They'll try to find something else. Who knows? So it's not a good look. The optics of it are not good, especially if you're a Philadelphia fan. Um, it is what it is. So make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe. Just a reminder. Don't forget tomorrow, Brandon Whiting will be on the show tomorrow at 8 p.m. Former Eagles defensive tackle. We've hooked up a couple times. See him at the parade. We got a chance to, spend time in the room with all the alumni. So we was talking and all that kind of stuff. Saw him at the trophy ceremony the other day. So just good people, man. He just good people. And I was like, dude, I got to get you on the cast. He was like, let me know. So called him, touched base with him this on Monday to make sure that we were still good. So check my Instagram. You'll see the ad that I put together for him. So that should be good, man. What you saying, Michael? No doubt. I just wanted to point out that the AFC bias Burrow had 25th ranked defense and couldn't make the playoffs. Jalen had 29th and won 11 games before injured in the days. Yeah, good point. That's a great point. And mind you, now again, I have affinity for Joey Burrow because he is a hometown kid from Cincinnati, played in Cincinnati, then went to LSU and gets drafted by Cincinnati. So he's playing at home. So I have affinity for Joey Burrow. Right? But, and I would say Joey Burrow is arguably the best quarterback in the league right now. Unfortunately, his team betrays him sometimes. Their defense is not, even though they had that guy on the team, Hendrickson, had 17 sacks or whatever this year, their defense had holes in it. So that's great that they got T. Higgins. So it's going to be all offense again. And they got to find a way to get something out of their defense because Joey Burrow is doing what he's supposed to do. He's holding up his end of the bargain. Even though he got hurt and all of that type of stuff, he's been holding up his end of the bargain. And they better figure out something because if Joey Burrow walks, Cincinnati's going to turn into the same old Cincinnati that we've been dealing with decades. You got a franchise quarterback in there. You got to make it work. You got to figure out how to make it work. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it is what it is. It sucks. I don't like it, but do I think it should be banned? I do not. I do not. So here's another picture. Here's a good picture. Now look at this. You see my cursor right here. And this is, and I used to say this. So Goddard and Saquon are pushing Jalen, right? So they got this little trio right here. I don't even know why Pascal is in the game. Take him out of the game. Give me somebody bigger. But look at this. Look at this gap right here. They got the gap right here and the gap right here. And more times than not, Jalen will slide to the left. And this is the weak part. And what I say is, if you're gonna run it again, that's Fred Warner. He is the threat to come across the top and take Jalen's head off. He's the threat, but he has to jump a very long way. So what you do is, if you can't push, and this is where the verbiage in however they write this rule, this is where the verbiage comes into play, right? This is where the verbiage comes into play. Look, you see they collapsed a little bit. Here's the weak point. So Stoll, what he needs to do is go at this linebacker right here. All you got to do is get a piece of him. Jalen Hurts, Goddard right here, he needs to be even with Jalen. He doesn't need to be in back of Jalen. Both of these guys need to be even with Jalen. And on the snap, he needs to come out here and get the end man on the line of scrimmage. Him and Stoll need to double up on the end man line of scrimmage. And Jalen Hurts needs to just QB sneak it and kind of slide to the left. That's what they need to do. And you don't need anybody to push you. Saquon, you could do the same thing. You could both line up on one side. Maybe you could put somebody in motion just to confuse the defense. But all you need to do is attack the gap. Put more men than they got in the gap. And really what you want to do is have Hurts, the ball carrier, push everybody through. Run it the opposite way. So it's not a push. You're not pushing Jalen Hurts. You pushing your way through the crowd, which is the way it's supposed to do. That's the way it's supposed to happen. So there's different ways you can skin this cat. There's different ways you can skin this cat. And the way these defenses line up, there's your weak point. Here's your weak point right here. And here's your weak point right here. You got 2 weak points. One man can't guard 2 gaps. And you got one. Look at Mailata is already on him. Stoll is going to come and get him. And then you got Goddard and Sanders. If you know which way you're going, you know what we're doing. Why is it a secret? Put them both over here and go ham on the end on the line of scrimmage. And if they try to bring somebody else up, that's when you open up a play for the pop pass or something like that. There's different ways you can keep them honest. So, and I trust that Nick Sirianni is going to figure out another way to exploit the system. And I ain't mad at it. Stop it. Figure out a way to stop it. Tiffany, I'm hoping you are right. It all comes down to if we can stay healthy. That's always the caveat to any season. I don't care if we have a, all Madden team. You got to be able to stay healthy. We were 1 inch away from this thing falling apart. Jalen Hurts gets bent back in that Rams game in the snow. An inch more, an inch to the left, an inch to the right. His knee is done. And we have a different outcome. So you got to look at things like that. It would have been a different outcome if we didn't lose that other game to the Commanders. An inch to the left, an inch to the right. If he slides earlier, if he doesn't go head first, he doesn't get the concussion, he stays in the game, and we continue to wreck the Commanders that game. Commanders don't make the playoffs, or their seating is different, so you might have a little bit different outcome. So there's a lot of things that go to that. So you're not wrong, but to me, injuries play the biggest role. Injuries always play the biggest role. So all we got to do is stay healthy. Easier said than done. But it just sucks that we going through all this rigmarole for the brotherly shove, them banning it, and all it comes down to is we don't want the Eagles to be able to use it. So look for the verbiage to change, and they will vote on the new verbiage, and it'll probably be passed. Because now at the point where I would be very surprised if it goes through to next year. Excuse me. I'll be very surprised if the push lasts next year. And if it does, we're going to be right back recycling this thing again. Or maybe other teams will figure out a way to use it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So you can only use it if you're 3rd or 4th and 1. I heard somebody talk about make it so you can only use it on 4th down. And I was like, a play is a play. You should be able to do it whenever you damn want to. If you want to run it on 1st down, run it on 1st down. So, it's just sour grapes, though. Sour grapes. But what do you expect? What do you expect? All right. I'm going to get up out of here, man. That was a good conversation. We went 45 minutes. It is 12:48. So that's about right. This is how I want to end these. because I'm on my lunch break and I got to get back to work. So my goal is to make this quick, short, sweet, to the point. Usually I'll go 45 minutes, sometimes 50, but the goal is to be done at like 12:50. So you can, do what you get. Like I say, finish your sandwich, wash your hands, and get back to work. So, because that's what I got to do. So, but I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Appreciate y'all joining me, man. I like this. I wish I could go longer in the afternoons because I see everybody else getting a lot of feedback in the afternoons, but got to do what I got to do. But still, that does not mean we cannot have meaningful conversations. So I appreciate y'all. Uh, Again, don't forget tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Brandon Whiting, former Eagles defensive tackle, will be with me on the show. And I will see you then. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Michael. Um, Chris 3K, Sweet Chin Music, everybody that was in the chats, man. Pat Ryan, everybody that tuned in. SC, appreciate you. Everybody coming through. Everybody coming through. Let's keep this thing growing. Keep this thing growing. I finally passed 6,700 subscribers, trying to get to 7,000, on my way to 10,000. So let's keep this train moving. So y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day, and I will talk to you guys. I'll probably have some more content tonight. If not, I will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. with Brandon Whiting right here on Pro Fan Talk. Peace.